Saint or sinner? To some, Mary Magdalene is a repentant prostitute. But to others, she is Jesus' closest disciple. Now we'll explore the enigma of a long-dead woman, uncover an ancient smear campaign, sift through long-buried scriptures to separate history from heresy and find the real Mary Magdalene. She walked with Jesus. She stayed with him to the bitter end. And after he died, she came to his tomb to clean his body, to restore his honor. But when she did, the Bible says she witnessed a miracle.
She turned around and saw Jesus standing there.
Mary Magdalene was the first to tell the disciples the startling news of Jesus' resurrection.
This unique appearance to Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of John gives her a status. It gives her an importance, a centrality.
But this is not the image of Mary Magdalene that's burned into our minds. This saint is also a sinner, a seductress, and a whore. Her voluptuous breasts revealed for all to see. Many paintings show her holding something in her hand.
Often in portrayals of Mary Magdalene that you see in later art, in medieval art, she's carrying a small alabaster jar.
That jar is a vital clue to explaining Mary's sullied reputation. Early in the Gospel of Luke, there is an account of a meal Jesus shares at the home of a Pharisee. Suddenly, a woman bursts in, weeping and carrying a jar.
And a woman in the city, who was a sinner, brought an alabaster jar of ointment.
And of course, what kind of sins do women do? People generally think that she was therefore a prostitute.
This disreputable woman starts a strange ritual. She wipes her tears and oil onto Jesus' feet with her hair.
Touching another man who's not your husband or your father would be generally considered to be inappropriate. And certainly in Jewish society at that time, pouring oil on someone's feet, dumping their hair on top of it and wiping his feet would be considered very bizarre.
The rest of the dinner party looks on in shock. But Jesus sees a chance to teach.
Well, he turns to the host and he says, you know, when I came in here, you didn't wash my feet, but this woman has not ceased washing my feet with her tears since she arrived. So he transforms her lewd behavior, really, into kind of a classic show of hospitality.
But this nameless woman will echo down through history more than Jesus' lesson. Because her exit comes just one line before another woman enters. Mary Magdalene.
The 12 were with him, as well as Mary called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out.
Early church fathers connected Mary with the prostitute who washed Jesus' feet, not just because they were next to each other in the Bible. They also argued that Mary's 7 demons were in fact the 7 deadly sins. Mary Magdalene was too close to the prostitute for comfort, and the connection stuck. Now we're about to move beyond the icons and search the Gospels for the real Mary Magdalene. From from her first meeting with Jesus.
Jesus would have shouted the demon out of Mary in the name of God.
To her last encounter with his spirit and all that happened in between.
It was not typical for men to be instructing women in such an intimate way.
We'll unearth ancient writings that paint a shocking new picture of Mary.
We didn't even know that the Gospel of Mary existed. It was found completely by surprise.
And reveal an ancient battle to rewrite her biography.
Apostle and prostitute were seen as incompatible. One of them had to go.
A struggle that would change the course of Christianity. The confusion about Mary should come as no surprise. Many Marys grace the pages of the New Testament.
Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph.
We have Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. We have Mary, the wife of Clopas, who's apparently Jesus' aunt. And then my very favorite, the other Mary.
There's even a scene where one of the Marys anoints the feet of Jesus. This time it's in the Gospel of John.
Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair.
There are altogether too many Marys, and we can't keep them straight. And it seems that the biblical authors couldn't keep them straight either.
The explanation for the multiple Marys lies under modern Jerusalem. Around the time of Jesus, it became custom to place human remains in bone boxes known as ossuaries. Ossuaries inscribed with the Hebrew or Aramaic versions of Mary are more common than with any other woman's name.
25% are some version of Mariamne, Miriam. It's all the same name that comes out Mary. So that's a pretty high number. It was a very popular name.
The confusion over the Marys in the Gospels came to a head in 591 AD. Pope Gregory the Great was delivering his Easter sermon in Rome.
He read through Luke chapters 7 and 8, and he read about two women there, and one woman was a prostitute and washed his feet and wiped his feet with her hair, and the next woman was Mary of Magdala. He made the step of putting those two together and saying, Mary Magdalene is the repentant prostitute. It's very powerful, and it makes for great art, but it's poor history.
Soon, Mary's identity blurred even more. In the Gospel of John, Jesus saved an unnamed adulteress from stoning with a memorable rebuke.
Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her.
In time, the woman in this scene also became Mary Magdalene. Allegations of prostitution and adultery would tarnish Mary's name for well over 1,000 years. Then, in 1896, a chance discovery in Cairo shed an entirely new light on her. A German scholar purchased a leather-bound book of papyrus texts from a Cairo antiquities dealer. The book contained a 5th century text with a remarkable title, The Gospel of Mary.
We finally have a gospel that is written in the name of Mary Magdalene. And the star of the gospel is Mary herself.
Fewer than 4 pages of the ancient papyrus texts survive. But what is left portrays an entirely different Mary to the one sold by the Vatican. It presents Mary as a leader of the disciples.
It gives us an alternative understanding of the teachings of Jesus. It shows us this woman, leader of the early church.
Why this gospel remained unknown for nearly 1,500 years is key to solving the mystery of Mary Magdalene. Did the early church try to bury Mary Magdalene's true role? Today, blockbuster fiction is revising her life story, painting her as the bride of Jesus. But the truth about Mary Magdalene may be more radical than that.